Hey, what's good you guys, it's Nick. Today, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to create these epic speed warping effect photos in Photoshop. Let me show you how to do it. Alright, so I've got Photoshop open right here and I've got my picture that I want to work with. Now, to make this effect work really well, you want to have something with leading lines to it, whether that's a roadway that leads off into the distance or a pathway, something that draws your eye out into the distance. This effect is basically going to make it look like your surroundings are blurring around you as you're going really fast. So having something with leading lines that draws your eye out into the distance makes it work better. Alright, so we've got our image open here in Photoshop and I've got my image as my base layer here. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to duplicate that layer. So you can either do that up in the settings in the layer controls, or you can just do Control or Command J, depending on if you're on Windows or Mac. Alright, so now that we've got this image into a second layer file, we're going to right click on it and we're going to convert to Smart Object. By converting this into a Smart Object, it's going to allow us to be able to later on change the edits that we do to it with the radial blur effect. So now that we've got this image layer as a Smart Object, have it selected, we're going to go up to Filter, Blur, and Radial Blur. So under this options, this is where all the magic happens. So under the blur method, you're going to want to choose zoom. This is the effect that we're going for. And then for quality, typically I always choose best. Now for the amount, this is kind of up to you. You can choose whatever you want for however much blur you're trying to go for. For me, for this image, I think maybe I'll do somewhere around maybe 40 or 38 would be good. And then you can also choose where the center is going to be for your blur. So I think in this case, I probably need to move it up just a little bit there, and maybe right there is good. Now, because we made this duplicate layer a Smart Object, we can always go back and change any of these radial blur settings. So I'm happy with that. I'm gonna click OK. It's gonna basically start rendering out this effect, and in just a second, it's gonna show you what it's gonna look like. Alright, so already that's getting the effect that we're going for. As you can see here, I think I got the center of it down pretty well. If you wanted to change it, say change the amount of blur that was going to happen, all you need to do is go onto that layer file, select your radial blur effect there, and you can change all those settings there. If you had not made this layer file a Smart Object, you wouldn't be able to go back in and actually change these effects that you had done to it. So maybe I'll change it down to 28, see how that looks. It's going to process that filter again on there. Alright, changing that down to 28, I think I'm liking a little bit better how that's looking. Now, at this point, you could call it done if you liked how it looked, but for me, I like to take it up just one more notch, do a little bit more editing to it. So, let me show you what I do. Now that we've got this radial blur effect going on here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help draw our eye to the center more. So, you're going to come up here and you're going to select your eraser tool. Now, with the second layer copied that has the actual radial blur effect, you're going to come over here and you're going to click once. That's going to ask you if you want to turn it back into a rasterized image, and it'll no longer be a Smart Object. Click OK. Alright, and so now this is where you're going to need to change your brush settings a little bit. Typically for when I'm doing this, I have it anywhere around 30 to 40, so 36 is fine, and then I'll have my flow at 100. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start painting away at the road just a little bit. And all I'm doing here is trying to draw your eye a little bit more to the road and give it a little bit more detail into it. I'm going to do the same thing for my car right here, just taking away a little bit of the blur that we had going on there. Alright, that's looking pretty good. And then what I do, I'm going to decrease the actual brush size here. Now with the brush size decreased a little bit, I start doing little swirls starting from the center of the image. Basically what this is doing is it's erasing the radial blur that we've got going on here. It's just helping draw the eye a little bit more towards the center of the image. Now you can see if I turn that layer off, it's going to go back to the original image. So we still have an image file underneath this radial blur. That's why we can actually start to erase some of the radial blur effect. Now as you can see, below the radial blur layer is our original image. So when I'm erasing part of the radial blur, the original image is the only thing showing through. So that's why I'm able to actually erase some of the radial blur and still have it turn out really nice. So I'll do a little bit more swirls here, and I might even do a little bit more on the roadway here. Alright, and that's looking pretty good. Now by doing this radial blur effect and then just brushing parts of it away with the eraser tool, we're able to get this really awesome warp speed effect on our photos. Alright, and that's just about it. What I would do next is I would just select all of my layer files, then I would go to merge layers and merge them into one layer. Then you can go up to File, Export, and then you can export it. All right, you guys, so that was a quick and easy tutorial in Photoshop on how you can make these epic warp speed radial blur effect photos. If this is your guys' first time on the channel, or you're able to get something out of the video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe down below. It really does help me grow this channel and continue making these awesome videos. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys have a tutorial or a video that you want to see or something that you want to learn, feel free to drop a comment down below. I would be happy to make another tutorial. Other than that, you guys, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.